Hi everyone, and thank you for watching the third installation of my handstand progression series. If you haven't seen number 1, number 2, you can check them out in the description, put the links there so you can get an idea of the full journey of progression. I know that there are definitely not many, but some people that are interested in watching how handstands progress. I definitely was, and that's the reason that I'm making this video. So I was getting into handstands at the beginning of the lockdown in 2020. What ended up happening was I overdid it and I ended up hurting my shoulder. So I had to stop probably around summer 2020, and from then until January I just pretty much did yoga and conditioning and running and other things that weren't handstands but were aiming to strengthen my body so I could come back stronger eventually. Anyway, in January I decided to get back into it, needed something to do to get me through the last part of the lockdown. So pretty much after the first week of January I started doing Jonathan Last's 4-week hand balancing program. He's made one completely for free. Definitely recommend it. It completely changed the game for me. Just having a nice structure laid out from a professional, something to follow, and it really worked. It really changed the consistency of my handstands and introduced me to a load of new exercises and stuff like that. So check that out, it's in the description below. Super useful tool if you're like, you can kind of handstand but kind of not really as well. So I did say that I wouldn't make this third video until I'd hit one of my goals, and they were a 60-second handstand or a press to handstand or a one arm, but I wasn't really expecting that. Unfortunately I didn't hit any of these goals. I sort of did do a couple of presses, but they weren't proper enough for me to really count them. I would ideally like to get them with completely straight arms, but I know that will come with time. Anyway, after I finished Johnny's program, I pretty much decided to work on presses and one arms and an extension of the program. I'll be honest, I didn't have a completely clear structure like I did when I was following these completely well laid out 4 weeks. I sort of just did the same stuff over and over again, messing about, but I was trying to keep a sense of fun, you know, like I'm doing what I want. I'm not just doing reps of handstand tucks against a wall, even though I know ultimately that would probably help, but I'm trying to have fun at the same time here, not just train manically to learn stuff, you know. Otherwise I feel like I would stop. This is definitely the longest that I trained handstands consecutively. It was pretty much from the beginning of January until now, so we're in the 5th month, and I was training 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and yeah, that was pretty much it. I do definitely think that my line and all my shapes have improved. Really subtle improvements, as I'm finding with handstands that you can pretty much, for me at least, only change one thing at a time. So you know that you've got to, rotate your arms, you've got to lock out, you've got to push through your shoulders, you've got to squeeze your legs together, blah blah, all of these things. But when you're actually doing it, I find that I can only think of one cue at once, and then I'll think of that for a couple of weeks. For example, at the moment I'm thinking of internally rotating my legs, so it sort of squeezes my legs together and my glutes and stuff all at the same time. But I'm just thinking of that, and then in a couple of weeks I can do that without sort of having it at the forefront of my mind. So yeah, I guess it sort of gets embedded in you and you have to think less about each cue as time goes on. pretty much for the last month and a half, I've just been working exclusively on one arm handstands, and I'm just trying to go onto fingertips on one side and then on the other side. Mainly been doing it with straight handstands, but also with straddle handstands. I actually find it easier to get into the right shape, well, what I think feels like the right shape with the straight handstands, as with the straddle it's a little bit harder for me to, move my legs and then keep them in line with my hips and stuff. I feel like with the straight one, at least I can lock my body in a position and just keep it in that position a little bit easier. So that pretty much concludes where I'm up to so far. If you've watched all of this, then please leave me a comment, let me know what you think. If you've got any tips or any advice, then I would love to hear it. So please let me know that. I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna advance from here in terms of, I think the lockdown's sort of coming to a close, so I'm gonna have less time to practice every day. But well, I'm going to try and keep it up, and I'm going to really try and push for those goals of the 60 seconds and the press and the one arm. And I feel like I'm at the stage now where obviously I'm better than ever and I'm closer to them than I've ever been, but they're still quite a long way off. So really, the thing about handstands, I believe, is you just have to keep going and you'll probably eventually do it, unless you're doing everything completely wrong. From my experience watching other hand balancers and people that have learned the one arm, it takes them a couple of years, and it's like, usually you watch them and you think, it seems like it's going not so well for you at the moment, but then at a point, a couple of years down the line, it seems to sort of click. And I notice people, the progression goes really slow, then it picks up, and a lot of people can learn quite a lot quite quickly, seemingly. So anyway, hoping that will happen to me at one of these years. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave me a like if you like the video, comment letting me know what you think, and subscribe for part 4.